What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Francisco. This is Stream Gear Talk, and today I'm going to talk to you about how I used my gaming laptop as a second PC in a dual PC streaming setup. Because frankly, I didn't think a laptop could handle the workload, but boy, was I wrong. Of course, I'm going to walk you through all of the gear that I use to make this happen, how everything is connected, what software I'm using on the streaming laptop, what software, if any, I'm using on the gaming PC. And by the end of the video, you're going to feel confident enough to know how to set this up and have excellent streams for your audience to enjoy while using a laptop instead of a full other tower, which I still might do anyway, just for funsies, but we'll talk about that at the end of the video. Until then, let's get started. First things first, let's talk about the why. Why would you even consider using two computers to handle both gaming and streaming separately? Well, the answer lies within that statement itself. One computer handles all the gaming, one computer handles all of the streaming and or recording if you're trying to do that as well. The reason that you want to do this, or the reason you would do this, is because modern video games can be very demanding on your system, even if you have a pretty premium build, okay? And if you throw in streaming into the mix, then your performance in your game might struggle or might suffer a bit. So the best thing to do at that point, if you want to get the best gaming performance out of your computer, is offload all of the workload that is involved when it comes to streaming and recording onto a second PC, or in my case, a gaming laptop. The laptop in this instance would handle all of the streaming and all the recording workload, things like OBS, any sort of plugins, Twitch extensions, etc., audio routing, video capture, everything. Everything that is involved in the production of the stream itself is handled by my laptop, or in your case, it may be a second computer, and the gaming PC would handle nothing else but just the game on its own. And what ends up happening is your performance for your game stays tip-top, while your production for your stream is also tip-top. So let's get started and let's talk about the gear involved. Now, handling all of the streaming and recording workload, I've got my Lenovo Legion Slim 5 laptop right here. And the reason that I went with this laptop is, well, because number one, it was within the budget that I had to purchase a new laptop, which was late last summer. It has a dedicated GPU. It's got an NVIDIA 4060 built into it. And I know that the 4060 gets a lot of hate on the internet, but let me tell you, in this little guy right here, it does a phenomenal job, not just at running and playing video games, but also encoding video, which you'll see here towards the end of the video. It also has a Ryzen 7 CPU, and personally, this was more of a matter of preference. I just prefer AMD processors over Intel processors. Besides that, I think it's got 16 gigs of RAM. I updated the solid state drive inside and put in a bigger one, and that's really it. As far as my gaming PC is concerned, I'm running a 4070 Ti, 64 gigs of RAM, and a Ryzen 9 5950X processor. And when it comes to running games, this thing is an absolute beast. Now, granted, I'm not doing 4K gaming. I prefer 1440. 1440 is that sweet spot between performance and visuals. I'm also playing on an LG 1440p 180 Hz Ultra Gear monitor, and it's been a fantastic experience. Now, you got your gaming PC, you got your laptop or your other streaming PC, you're going to need some other stuff in between to get the two working together, so let's get to that. Now, in order to capture the game footage from the gaming PC and transfer it over to the streaming laptop, I have to use a capture card. So what I'm currently using is an Elgato HD60S Plus. The capture card itself is connected directly to my streaming laptop. On the gaming PC, I have an HDMI cable connected to the HDMI port of my 4070 Ti. The other end of that cable is connected into the HDMI port of the HD60S Plus, and that is it. There is no HDMI cable connected to the out port of the HD60S Plus. Once you have your capture card connected to your gaming PC and your streaming laptop or streaming PC, the next thing I need you to do is go to your gaming PC's desktop, right-click, select Display Settings, and duplicate your main display being the monitor that you're using to play your game. What this is going to do is going to duplicate that signal, send it out to the display port that's on your monitor, and also send it out via the HDMI port on the GPU that's connected to your capture card. That way, OBS on your streaming laptop or streaming PC can pick up the footage of your game from your gaming PC. Now, the next thing that I'm using in this setup is probably one of the most important pieces that I have in all of my gear setup over here, okay? And that is going to be the Elgato Streamdeck Plus. But more importantly and more specifically, in this scenario, based off my use case, I'm using the Streamdeck Plus with the Elgato USB hub attached to the back. The reason I'm using the USB hub is because the laptop itself only comes with 2 USB-A ports on the back and 2 USB-C ports on the left-hand side. All of these, thankfully, are 3.0 and up, but it's still not enough ports, which is why I'm using the hub. The Streamdeck Plus itself, if you're using the USB hub, it comes with a very specific cable that you need to use. So that cable is connected to the back of the hub, and then the other end of the cable is connected to my USB-C port on the left-hand side of my laptop. Because the Streamdeck Plus is connected to the streaming laptop, it's going to serve as the primary controller for your streams. You're going to be able to switch scenes in OBS. You can scroll through your Twitch chat if you're using something like the Elgato Prompter, for example. You're going to be able to control all of the volume levels for all of your audio sources using Elgato Wavelink. But instead of having to use the software to do that, you're going to have these handy dandy little dials at the bottom of the Stream Deck to have quick and easy access to all of your volume levels. It's a phenomenal device. I cannot recommend it enough. If you don't have this, you are hemorrhaging efficiency and time and convenience. So please get one, and please use the link that I'll have down below, because in case I haven't said this, I'm an Elgato partner and it helps the channel if you do it. Anyways, that's besides the point. It's a fantastic piece of gear. You should definitely get it, whether or not you use my link. Now that I have the Streamdeck Plus connected to my streaming laptop, let's focus on mic audio. I'm currently using an Elgato Wave DX, which is a dynamic XLR microphone, which means I'm going to need an audio interface. And that audio interface in this instance is the Elgato Wave XLR, the standalone audio interface, okay? You do have the option of using the Wave XLR dock for your Streamdeck Plus, but I would only use that in a scenario where your streaming PC or your streaming laptop offers you more than enough USB real estate. If that's you, don't even bother getting the USB hub and get the XLR dock instead. It's going to keep things nice and tidy on your desk, and it's going to reduce clutter. Trust me. Now, the interface itself is connected to the back of the USB hub via USB-C to USB-C cable. You can use USB-C to USB-A. It's entirely up to you. I prefer to use USB-C as much as humanly possible. Let's pretend that you don't have an XLR microphone and instead you're using a USB mic. Well, solution is the same. You're going to take your USB microphone and plug that into the back of the USB hub attached to the Streamdeck Plus. Next, let's talk about how you get that beautiful face of yours on your streams, okay? If you're using a USB webcam, you just plug your USB webcam into your laptop or into the USB hub, whichever one works best for you, all right? But if you're using a mirrorless camera, such as my Canon M50 here or my Sony ZV-E10 over here, then you're gonna need an Elgato Camlink 4K, and that's exactly what I'm using here. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna buy yourself, and I'm sorry, you're gonna have to buy this, you're gonna have to buy yourself a micro HDMI cable to a regular HDMI cable. It's one cable, one end is micro, one end is regular. The micro HDMI cable end connects to your mirrorless camera. The regular HDMI end connects to the back of the Camlink 4K. The Camlink 4K's USB end, that gets connected into the back of the Elgato USB hub, which is attached to my Elgato Streamdeck Plus. Now I know, maybe you've read the documentation or maybe you've read the FAQs and it tells you right there that it doesn't recommend that you plug in a Camlink or a capture card to the back of the USB hub. And you're not wrong. You should not do that typically. But when I first tested out this setup, I actually had my Camlink connected to the back of my laptop. And then one day out of the blue, my camera feed just disappeared, just gone, like inexplicably. So I tested it out. I unplugged it from my laptop. I plugged it into the back of my USB hub and boom, it worked. And it's worked just fine ever since. But there's a reason why it works, and you need to make sure that you do this very next thing. In order to make sure that there is no interruption and no issues in connecting a Camlink 4K to the back of the Elgato USB hub, you have to make sure that the USB hub itself is powered. And in order to do that, you need to connect a power source to the power delivery port of the USB hub. I just so happen to have a 65-watt laptop charger lying around that I don't really use, so I have that connected to an outlet on my surge protector, and the USB-C end of that charger is connected to that power delivery port. Because I have it connected to a source, a power source, my USB hub is now a powered USB hub. Therefore, I'm able to use my Camlink 4K on it with zero interruption, zero issues, zero latency, nothing at all. Since I switched over from having my Camlink connected to my laptop over to this USB hub, I have had zero issues with my mirrorless camera overlay. So if you find yourself having issues with connecting your Camlink 4K directly to your streaming laptop or your streaming PC, give this a shot. It should work. Now that we've taken care of all the hardware and how everything is connected, let me walk you through the software side of things. I'm going to show you how I have Elgato Wavelink set up on my streaming laptop to capture not just all the audio coming from the streaming laptop itself, but to also capture the game audio coming from the gaming PC. I'm also going to show you how I have Elgato Streamdeck set up, primarily how I have Wavelink set up using the Streamdeck Plus to enable me to control all of my volume and audio sources very, very easily. And lastly, a very brief look at how to get everything set up in OBS. Okay, so let me show you how I have Wavelink and Streamdeck set up here on the streaming PC, just so that you can see how simple this is. Please don't be afraid. It's not complicated. It's not crazy. All right. Just make sure you have your Streamdeck Plus connected to your streaming PC, and that you have Wavelink and the Streamdeck applications both downloaded and installed to the streaming PC. On the Wavelink side of things, all I have here running is my Elgato Wave XLR channel, which handles my mic audio, the system channel, which handles the PC, the streaming PC's audio, right? And the music channel, so that whenever I want to play some music on Spotify for the stream, it's right there ready to go for them. But the big one you're probably wondering is, how do I get my gaming PC audio over to this streaming PC? And it's super easy. Remember how we're using an HD60S Plus capture card, right? It's connected via an HDMI cable to the GPU on the gaming PC. Well, in Wavelink, what we're going to do is we're going to add that in as a channel. But the very first thing I need you to do, I want you to go to your PC, which is what you're looking at now. This is the gaming PC's desktop, okay? You need to make sure that your audio is being output as HD60S Plus, or I'm guessing the name of your capture card if it's a different one, NVIDIA High Definition Audio. This is what it has to be set as, okay? And then when you do that, we're going to go back over here to Wavelink on the streaming PC. We're going to go to our channel number 4, hit plus, and down here at the bottom, you're going to see Digital Audio Interface Game Capture HD60S Plus. Boom. All right. And there it is right there. You have now just looped in the game PC audio into Wavelink on your streaming PC. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the button here on the gaming PC so you can see the audio activate. Ta-da. There you go. Simple as that. It's really not that complicated. I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just trying to reassure you that it's a fairly straightforward process. Okay, so what you're looking at right now is my Streamdeck application open, and kind of give you an idea of how I have Streamdeck Plus set up with the streaming PC. And this setup is literally the same one I use when I have it connected to my gaming PC. I don't want to go too far into the rabbit hole on how I have everything set up, because a lot of this is not necessarily relevant to this video. But not only that, you're going to set this up to your preference, right? So there's no guarantee that you're going to use what I have, which is perfectly fine. I encourage you to set up your Stream Decks in a manner that benefits you the most. And just because it works for me doesn't mean that it works for you. But what you're probably wanting to know is, how do I have Wavelink set up with Streamdeck Plus? So we're going to go to this icon here because that's my Wavelink folder. Matter of fact, let's just go to the OBS one. Bam. The first button that we see here is my output button. This allows me to toggle between the monitor output and the stream mix output. Monitor output being what I hear, the stream output is what the stream hears, right? And this is excellent to have on your Stream Deck and at a fingertip away, because toggling between the two allows you to do a sound check before you go live. That way you can check and make sure in the stream mix that your microphone audio isn't drowning out the game audio, or vice versa. Second button that I have here is the output toggle button. And this basically allows me to tell Wavelink to say, hey, send all the audio to my headset, or send all the audio out of my speakers for those times where maybe I'm not streaming and I don't want to wear a headset at all times. Cool. These two musical note buttons over here are just volume presets. In certain scenes, I want the volume to be at 93%. In other scenes, I want the volume to be at 70%. And I have a mute button for my mic. But you must be wondering, well, wait a minute, Francisco, I thought you said that with Wavelink, we can control the volume for every single source independently across both the stream mix and the audio mix. That is exactly true. That is very true, because what you're going to do, this is something I highly recommend. All right, let me find it here. Stream Deck. Bam. So let's head on over to Dials over here. Boop. All right. And then you're going to click down on Stream Deck and you're going to see Dial Stack. Okay. Dial Stack allows you to, issue or designate multiple commands to every one dial. So you click and hold, you drag it over to here, and we're going to double click here. From here, you're able to add in your Wavelink inputs. Sorry, I just blanked out there for a second, okay? So this first one that I have here is my Wave XLR, my microphone for the monitor mix. For whatever reason I decide I want to hear myself, I can do that. Then the second one, I just click and grab input over here, drop it over here. I have the same exact input, which is the Elgato Wave XLR, which is the channel in Wavelink, but this time I have it set to the output for the stream mix. And so when I click the button here on my Streamdeck Plus, you're going to see right now it's set to the mic monitor version of XLR. If I click it once and I push it in, it switches over to the stream output. So now if I turn the dial left or right, I am increasing or decreasing my mic volume for the stream mix. Cool. Let's check it out for the HD60S Plus audio, which is usually the third dial. The third dial, for some reason, is the dial that I choose to control all of my game audio, be it the PC game or my PS5 audio, right? We double click in. I've already got it set up, but you're going to take your input over here, click and hold, drag it over and drop. And you're going to click over here and you can already see that I have it assigned digital audio interface game capture HD60S Plus. But for the monitor mix, we're going to go back over here to input. You click and hold it, you drag it over, you drop it into the box. All right. And then we're going to click the button in one more time on the dial. When I say click the button in, I'm talking about the dial. Okay. You click the button on the dial in and it switches over to the next one, the next command. Okay. In the dial stack. This time it's the same exact input, the HD60S Plus audio, but now it's going to control it for the stream mix. All right. Using dial stacking for the audio control, like the volume control for every one of your sources, is incredibly easy, very fast, very efficient. You don't have to go back through multiple pages on your Streamdeck or anything like that. It's just right there. Bam, 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 and done. Now for this portion of the video, I'm going to assume you've already installed OBS and you got it cranked on and you're probably just following along. So when you first start OBS, this is most likely what you're going to see. Just a pretty much blank screen with not a whole lot going on. And the first thing that you need to do is you need to create your scenes. Now there's going to be one already started off. It's called scene, but you know, I like to rename things and keep things organized. So we're going to call this in-game. This is the scene that everyone's going to see when I'm playing a game, what have you, etc. We're going to add in the camera overlay first so that you can at least see me. And we're going to go here to the plus sign at the bottom under sources. We're going to go to video capture device and I'm going to call it ZVE10 because that's the one I want to capture. And by default, it already has the Camlink 4K selected. So we're going to leave that as is. You can click on the corners and hold here and just kind of reform, reshape everything. And by the way, if you don't want this to be so wide, if you hold Alt and go to the side over here, you're able to crop it right here on the spot. Bam. Cool. All right. So you've added your overlay, you added your camera, everybody can see you. You look beautiful. Fantastic job. You look great. Slay, girl, slay. All right. Next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add audio because right now, if you just did this, no one could hear a thing you're saying. So we're going to go back to sources. We're going to hit plus. And contrary to popular belief, what you're going to actually do is you're going to add an audio input capture, not output, input. So we're going to click audio input capture and we're going to call this Wavelink. Hit enter. And you're going to make sure that you go over here to Wavelink Stream Elgato XLR dock. All right, it might be a different name depending on what you're using, but ultimately you just want to make sure it's Elgato Wavelink Stream. And boom. Now I'm going to mute that so that there's no echo or anything like that, okay? But you can already tell Wavelink is here. All audio that is routed through Wavelink comes in through this one channel here in OBS, okay? So now let's go ahead and add the video capture from the gaming PC into our streaming laptop over here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back down here to sources and we're going to hit the plus sign. We're going to go back to video capture device and click on that. And I mean, I don't know, I'm just going to call this gaming PC. We're going to hit enter. We're going to go back down to the device drop-down menu and we're going to select our capture card, the HD60S Plus in my case. I'm going to click that and boom. Now, obviously, it's blocking out my moneymaker. So we're just going to come down here, click and hold and drag it down to the bottom. Ta-da. Now that we've added our camera overlay, our game capture, and our audio, it's time to set OBS up to output a high quality stream. Now, granted, the quality of your stream is going to be dependent on both your internet connection and your hardware. You could just go to YouTube and search for the best OBS settings out there, but the problem here is that you're going to find hundreds of videos made by hundreds of different people showing you hundreds of different settings to change and alter to get the best settings possible. Or you could just go up here to tools, click the auto configuration wizard, select optimize for streaming, recording is secondary, hit next, follow all the prompts, maybe wait about 2, maybe 3 minutes, and OBS will automatically optimize itself based off of your hardware and your internet connection to put out the best possible stream that it can. And anytime I have to do this for OBS, I always use the auto configuration wizard. It's incredibly easy and it does an absolutely fantastic job. I've never had an issue setting OBS up in this manner, and I seriously doubt that you will too. And well, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it. That's all the hardware, all the connectivity, and all the software and all the setup involved in executing this 2 streaming PC setup using a laptop as my second PC. And you got to be asking yourself, well, how does it all work? Is it good? Does it suck? I don't know. See for yourself. Ooh, you better be dead, girl. Yeah, I was about to say, you're the only one I care about. Machete. That was awesome. I said the clicker's the only one I care about. I don't care about the rest. Where y'all at, bro? Save the bullets. Cool. Personally, I think that this has been an eye-opening experience for me. I have enjoyed every single step of the way in getting my laptop set up as the second PC in a dual PC streaming setup. I'll be very honest with you. I have ridiculed the idea of using 2 PCs. I've got a streamer friend of mine. His name is Barney Jack. He's on Twitch. He's a phenomenal streamer. He's a great guy. Y'all should go check him out and follow his channel. He's amazing, okay? He really is, okay? I have had many conversations with him as to why he uses 2 PCs and 16 different cameras and 45 different monitors in his setup. But even though he makes perfect sense and he's made perfect sense every single time we bring this topic up, I still was never really bought into the idea of using 2 PCs in a streaming setup until Assassin's Creed Shadows came out. See, up until Assassin's Creed Shadows came out, I've been able to play and stream off of the same PC with little to no problem at all. But then AC Shadows drops, I try to stream the game and play it off of the same computer, and for some inexplicable reason, every single time I would hit go live while playing the game, the performance of the game just took a nosedive. I still don't understand why, okay? So that got me thinking, maybe it is time to try out a 2 PC setup. And well, I just so happen to have a formidable gaming laptop laying around. I incorporated that into the mix, and I gotta tell you, I'm very happy with the results. This is fantastic. Being able to separate the workload across 2 machines is an incredible idea, and it works. I feel like my game quality, as far as performance is concerned, has stayed just as good as it is when I'm not streaming. And more importantly, I feel like the stream quality itself has actually gotten better. So if you found this video helpful, and if you walked away here having a better idea of how to execute this kind of a setup, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit like and leave me a comment down below saying that you thought this was helpful. And if you want to see more content like this, I have an idea. You see, because of how awesome this has worked, I am now toying with the idea of buying all the parts and building a tower to handle all of the streaming capped at a certain budget. And if you want to see me do that video, like this video and let me know in the comments below. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed this. You be good to yourselves. You be good to one another. Peace out.